It's time to brush those cobwebs off. Gathering and alchemy, there's new fishing buffs we can craft. Welcome to the one channel that needed a reason to be active. My name's Teddy, and today I'll be showing you how to avoid spending billions in the central market on fishing buffs by gathering and crafting your very own tidal drafts added in the last update. From the location of all the materials to some tricks to increase the weight for combining all of the elixirs needed to craft the new drafts, no matter if you're a new player or veteran, this guide should have it all for you. If you find this enjoyable or you're like me and just needed a reason to actively play Black Desert, leave a like and let's just jump into everything you need to know to start crafting your very own tidal drafts. When the fishing contest was first introduced, for those able to rank in the top hundreds were rewarded with different tiers of wave boxes that contained the deep blue tidal draft as one of the prizes. Originally, they weren't craftable, but with the lack of players able to rank, PA decided to introduce 3 different tiers to help new players level fishing while allowing veterans another way to stack mastery. Both the new title and the blue title draft both come with the same plus 20% fishing experience, plus 2 to fishing, and plus 50 fishing mastery, while the title lasts for only 180 minutes and the blue title for 300 minutes. As for the better deep blue title, this comes with plus 30% fishing experience, plus 3 to fishing, and plus 100 to fishing mastery for 600 minutes. Now, instead of winning the better draft through the contest, we're able to craft the title draft using 36 of each fisher, mastery, and time elixirs, and 10 tiers of the fallen moon that can be bought from any old moon vendor. The blue title requires 72 of each fisher, mastery, and the time elixir, while also using 20 tiers of the fallen moon this time with 1 swaying wind shard. The better deep blue unfortunately can only be made by combining the blue title drafts with 1 title essence or by using 2 title drafts with 1 title essence. At first glance, your thought is to run off to the central market, but depending on the region, the prices and the availability of the elixirs can vary, and just like on NA, most of the Delosha seeds are gone, prices are skyrocketing, and the elixir of mastery can be completely sold out at times. To avoid having to wait, or with the price gouging, this is where self-gathering all the ingredients to craft your very own elixirs come in. Starting off, we have the Wise Man's Blood. This is mainly used for both the time and the Fisher's elixirs, and not to mention, earns a ton of experience for brewing. Brewing the Wise Man's Blood can easily be done, and if you've done any alchemy, these are familiar, but for the newer players, these can be made by using 1 Monk's Branch, 1 Trace of Nature, 1 Liquid Reagent, and 2 Weasel Blood. Monk's Branch can be gathered by using workers on any lumbering node with Monk's Branch included, like the Forest of Seclusion for example, or can be manually gathered from lumbering. Trace of Nature is a bit more annoying, requiring workers to gather on excavation nodes for both the powder and the archaeologist sack, which also contains Trace of Nature. Obviously, you can go around gathering herbs like over here in Bear. Another way is the Liana dailies, or a lot of alchemy to proc those bonus quests. They can be obtained from the golden seals earned from Imperial deliveries. The liquid reagent is one of the first recipes you will learn, so these can either be crafted or can be exchanged using Mysterious Catalyst. Lastly, we have the Weasel's Blood, which can easily be gathered over here in the Wolf Hills in the Balanos region. I suggest making a good amount of the blood, or at least have enough materials to brew some more because you will be using a lot of the Wise Man's Blood. Moving on to the first prerequisite elixir on the list is the Elixir of Time, which is one of the easiest elixirs to make and is able to make a lot of money on its own. Brewing these will need 1 Wise Man's Blood, 6 Fire Flake Flowers, 5 Maple Sap, and lastly 2 Powder of Time. The Fire Flake Flowers are one of the easiest ingredients to gather with places like Bear for the wild herbs, or the actual Fire Flake Flowers over here in Rua Tree Stub. They can also be farmed in fences. Maple is another fun one to head out and gather, with the Southern Neutral Zone being a classic, and the Bailey Forest being my new favorite. Maple can also be gathered using workers on any maple node. Powder of Time is one of the easiest materials to get, either using workers on nodes like Glish Swamp, gathering precious resources like platinum ore for example. We have the Liana Alchemy Dailies for the support box. Next on the list is the Fisher Elixir, which is another great elixir to make for selling money, and is an easy elixir to make. Brewing the Fisher's Elixir requires 1 Wise Man's Blood, so I hope you brewed enough, 6 Sunrise Herbs that can be gathered around the Bear Wild Herbs, and gathered around the Hex Sanctuary, can be farmed in your own personal fences too, and workers can be placed on nodes. Fur sap can mainly be gathered using workers on any fur lumbering node like the Mancha Forest node here for example, or can be gathered around the Hex Sanctuary in large amounts. As for the Powder of Flame, these can be gathered using workers on copper mining nodes, manually gathering copper ore, or just by exchanging the Mysterious Catalyst earned from alchemy. The Elixir of Mastery is going to be the most difficult one to brew and the most expensive one out of the three. Starting off, we will need 3 refined Delosia reagent, which can only be made by grinding up special quality Delosia flour. These flours can only be farmed in a fence using the Delosia seeds found while gathering the Delosia around the region, and bred up to special quality. 1 clear liquid reagent, and 1 pure powder reagent. Next, we'll need 2 Oil of Tranquility. Anyone leveling alchemy should already know these, but for those who don't, brewing 1 will require 1 Wise Man's Blood, 1 Bloody Tree Knot, which can be gathered using workers on any lumbering node with the Bloody Tree Knot, like the Treant node, or can be gathered manually using lumbering. The Fruit of Nature, which can be gathered using workers on any farming node like potatoes here in Velia for the Fruit Worker Sacks. Manually gathering wild herbs and bear. Liana's daily alchemy quest, exchanging Artenis element from mob grinding, and lastly, plant breeding while farming. Continuing on with the Elixir of Mastery ingredient is the Everlasting Herbs. These can be gathered rarely from manually gathering herbs in bear, or can be gathered from the actual everlasting herb plants found randomly around places like Trent or the Land of Morning Light caves added. I'll leave a link down in the description below for those who are still searching for easy ways to get everlasting herbs, since it is pretty time consuming. Thornwood sap is the next ingredient, which I don't recommend manually sapping trees here in Odalita around the Aloons Valley region. With how low the amount of thornwoods are, it would be better just to set up a worker on the Shiv Valley node here next to Adraxia. This will take some time while you gather, or choose to wait for pre-order. The last ingredient needed is the Trace of Nature, which was already mentioned, and unfortunately is where a majority of your traces will go. One of the more important ingredients needed for the blue Tidal Draughts is the Swaying Wind Shard. This can be used in combining the Tidal Draughts, but getting these can be a little bit annoying. There are several ways we can go about getting Swaying Wind Shards, starting with the Kama Sylvia story quests. For simply completing these quests, we're rewarded Peridot leaves, which can be exchanged for the Swaying Wind Shards. Dailies around Kama also reward the Peridot, killing the mobs in Loopy Tree Forest, Gyphon, and Miramok Ruins. You can also get Swaying Wind Shards for the Imperial Horse invoices during the Imperial Horse delivery events, Grand Prix coins from horse racing, training golden seals from delivering horses, and not to mention the Black Spirit Adventure and also inside the box for completion. Swaying Wind Shards are also given out during events too, and during login bonuses if they're not available in the central market on your region. The last thing we'll need besides the Tears of the Fallen Moon, which again can be bought from any old moon vendor, is the Tidal Essence. These unfortunately can only be earned by ranking in at least the top 300s if you're lucky enough. Depending on your region, waiting to pre-order a completed draft might be easier. But knowing what elixirs to make and the ingredients needed is just one part. We still have to make the drafts. Crafting the Tidal Draughts are pretty straightforward with just using simple alchemy on all the elixirs, Tears of the Fallen Moon, and the Swaying Wind Shards if you're making the deep blue drafts, but with the weight of the materials, it'll have to be done in smaller batches. There are a few things that can be done to ease the huge weight requirement, with the first one being the Venesil outfits from the Pearl Shop. Wearing a pair allows processing to be done from inside the storage and the end product to be placed inside your bag. This way will require the elixirs to be in your storage and real money to buy one of the Venesil costumes, but removes a lot of care about that weight limit. For the new players or those not willing to spend real money, we do have a couple ways to ease the burden a little bit. Starting off, we have the weight crystal preset. Getting a preset, like the one made up here for example, will increase weight by 460. This setup has 2 Bond Hysteria, 2 Juan Cobalinus, 4 Ultimate Gervish, and the remainder are Ancient Magic Hysteria. All these crystals can be bought off the central market. Another great workaround to the weight is with the silver embroidered trader clothes. Originally, everyone used to use the Hercules Might set, but the trader clothes overshadows it. At base, the trader clothes will increase weight by 100, and at +5, they give +400 to your weight. I recommend getting at least +3 with how cheap they are, and they provide +250 weight. Trying to enhance up to +5 can be a little harder and way more expensive, so I wouldn't advise it unless you're prepared to waste a lot of money. The silver embroidered trader clothes can be made in any costume mill or can be bought off the central market. Speaking of expensive, another piece of gear worth looking at is the Manos Golden Coral Belt. Starting at base, these belts give the most weight starting at +100 and increase with each enhancement up to 600 at pen, but is extremely expensive to enhance. These can be made in the Manos Jeweler in Valencia or can be bought off the central market. Moving on, we have the life tools like the ladles, hunting bags, or for this guide, the flasks. Every tool is the same, with Logia giving plus 30 to weight, blue grades giving plus 50, and Manos giving plus 100 no matter the enhancement. The cheaper Logia is the easiest to get, and Manos is the hardest to tap and costs the most, so choose which one is right for you. Both green and blue grades can be bought from the tool vendor, while Manos must be crafted, and all three of these can be bought off the central market. These are just a few of the ways we can temporarily increase our max weight, but if you want to see a complete guide on increasing your weight, let me know down in the comments below. I'd completely forgotten about increasing weight with just the processing things for my storage and the storage chest inside the house, so it's been fun researching all the old and new ways we can increase weight now. But jumping back into this, once weight is figured out, before you start combining those elixirs, I suggest making the blue Tidal Draughts instead of the lesser Tidal. That's of course if you have the swaying wind shards to make them. The blue Tidal will have a longer duration at the cost of more elixirs, but it is worth it with only needing to use 2 or 3 while you're sleeping and AFK fishing. Of course, if you don't have any extra swaying wind shards, the lesser Tidal is more than acceptable, just needing to pop more, but still an option for those wanting to power level fishing. I hope this helps you start making your own Tidal Draughts instead of putting pre-orders in, hoping someone will be nice enough to sell you any. Even though it would be faster to buy these if they were in stock, heading out to gather all the materials and brewing up your own elixirs would make you a lot more money, with it only increasing the higher your mastery is. But I'll let you decide if making the Tidal Draughts are worth the time or not. Selling these alone has made me a ton of money so far and reminded me of the old days gathering the ingredients to craft the spirit perfume and trying to only play actively. Sadly, I wasted a lot of money trying to enhance, but because everyone's just AFK fishing and not a lot of people are selling it, it should be easy to make the money back. With all of that out of the way, I'm going to head back out to gather more materials, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep gathering out there, everyone.